inanimate mechanical components flung together to provide man with a means of transport. It's about a living, breathing creation of genius, a work of art on wheels. For this is Black Bess, a 5-litre Type 18 Bugatti built 80 years ago with a master's touch of pure magic in styling and design. And this is no museum exhibit. Still used and even raced today, Black Bess is cared for at Ivan Dutton's Oxfordshire workshops, a mecca for Bugatti owners and their cars that come here from all over the world.
Well, I spent a lifetime in cars, and my father in cars before me, and when I was a kid during the war, they used to talk about nothing else but Brooklands and Bugattis and stuff like that. And then I went off modern racing and did all the things that young blokes do probably, and then eventually it came back to the Bugatti really, and I decided to get involved in them, and I got involved in them, and now really there's no other car because I can see the magic of them.
Of course, Ettore Bugatti is often described as a mechanical magician.
Well, I don't think he was so much a magician. I think really he come from a family of artists, and they'd obviously, from a little boy, they probably thought about nothing else but line and form and what have you. So when it came to designing a car, he obviously used all the artistic background that he got. Every little bit he made, he obviously looked at it and thought, well, no, that doesn't look quite right. We'll make it look beautiful. And that's exactly what it does.
Even after 80 years, the car still retains all its original running gear. Now, this is the heart of Black Bess, a 5-litre 4-cylinder engine. That's over a litre per cylinder. The biggest 4-cylinder on the market today is Porsche's 2.5-litre unit, so you can just imagine how big the pistons must be. And I think it's a far more attractive piece of machinery to look at than today's computer-controlled, catalysed devices. This is real torque. Not to mention 100 brake horsepower delivered at a leisurely 2,400 RPM. Highly efficient for those days. So, Ivan, how do I start this beauty?
Retarded ignition, a couple of pumps on the handle.
What, now it locks in position?
Locks in position.
Yeah.
Press the starter. And advance the ignition when it starts.
Then it's into first, ease off the handbrake, thankfully a lot more effective than the foot-operated transmission brake, and off on one of the most deeply satisfying drives I've ever taken. Black Bess's life is known almost from the day it left the factory. Bugatti was a great friend of early French aviator Roland Garros, who ordered a Type 18 chassis and then had installed upon it a sporting 2-seater body. When the First World War broke out, Garros took his Bugatti to the front with him, and he became one of France's top air aces. But he was killed in the air just 3 weeks before the armistice. His beloved Bugatti passed to the chief engineer of the Sunbeam Company, who brought the car to England. In the early 1920s, it was sold to a decidedly sporting young lady, Miss Ivy Cummings, and promptly gave it the name Black Bess, after Dick Turpin's horse. So how do we know all this? Well, Bill Boddy, the redoubtable editor of Motorsport, has just finished his book on the history of Black Bess, a car he first came across 60 years ago. After organising its rescue, he stayed in touch with it, and there's little doubt it's through him that it survived.
I found it in 1933, derelict in McAvoy's garage in Derby. I think James Robertson Justice, the actor, had bought it and wanted to have it overhauled by McAvoy's and ran out of money, and it was sort of languishing in a rather sorry state.
What is the appeal of Black Bess? Why is it such an important car?
I think because very few of this type were made. It's got chain drive, which is unique for Bugatti. It is a very advanced car, really, for its age, 1913, you know, before the First World War. And it had a fairly interesting career when Ivy Cummings took it over in 1923. She was a girl who did a lot of sprints with various motor cars.
Now, she actually drove it here at Cop Hill.
Oh, certainly, did very well at Cop Hill, yes. On more than one occasion, yes.
Was Cop Hill a popular venue for
It's a
speed
very
hill
popular
rides?
venue indeed, yes. Those were in the days when you could use public roads like this one, which all finished, of course, in 1925, when somebody in another Bugatti, not this one, a smaller Bugatti, ran over somebody's leg, and the RAC panicked and stopped public road events.
It seems to have a fair old turn of speed.
Oh, very good turn of speed. It lapped Brooklands, I think, at over 92 miles an hour in 1925, driven by a man called Preston, who had it after Ivy Cummings. That means it was doing roughly 100 miles an hour on the straight, one assumes.
And it came up this hill at, what, 36 seconds? It must have been going
36 point something seconds, yes, yes.
The car's in remarkable condition at the moment. It's obviously in good hands.
Well, I think it was lucky. You see, Colonel Giles was able to spend money on it. Then when the war came, he had other things to think about. So Rodney Clark had it, and he was fairly fastidious about his motor cars. And then, of course, he passed on to Peter Hampton, and he was a wealthy man with absolutely immaculate motor cars, so he did a bit more work on it. Then David Hymans had it. So it's had 3 or 4 jolly good owners up to the present time.
I think that there would be nothing probably in the Edwardian era to beat Black Bess if it was running like a racing car and stripped down and what have you.
The first supercar.
The first supercar, undoubtedly. Obviously, it's out of date now, but it really does work, and you get one going properly, you can't believe how good it is.